you stack these different marketing tactics.
We do.
You stack phone with, are you doing mailers, or you're talking about doing that in the future?
So that's coming out pretty soon for us.
Yep. Okay. So you've got callers, you've got people doing canvassing, you've got people at events. How do these things complement one another?
Yeah. So a couple different ways, and it all simply comes down to branding. But we try to brand on a really local kind of micro scale. Mm-hmm. So we've got strategies where when we've got a good canvas team, we'll send them to a neighborhood. We'll have them sometimes first hang a flyer on the door. Mm-hmm. A lot of people throw those out, but a lot of people.
So they're not even knocking the first time.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yep. 2, they'll go through and they'll start knocking, and they'll introduce a couple people to the program. We have a pretty high success rate. After we knock and set some appointments, there's a lot of people that say no on the door. They say, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing business with somebody I just met on my doorstep, right? You weren't invited.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets really interesting. The person who said no now sees a 4 Energy truck rolling down their road one day, and then they see a yard sign in one of their neighbors, in front of one of their neighbors' homes. And then they see another one, then they see another truck. And then they see that same guy walking around the neighborhood, meeting more families.
Yeah.
And it's very funny to see when you've got yard signs and kind of social proof surrounding somebody.
Yeah.
That person who said no will now say yes.
Yeah.
And it's more than just keeping up with the Jones. It's familiarity. It's trust. It's all of those things.
Yeah.
And it works very, very well.
Well, so I've had somebody on the program, and Tammy, her business is mobile pet grooming.
Okay.
And her biggest lead gen is her truck, her van. When she's not working, if she's got the Sunday off, she parks it at the grocery store and she gets calls all day.
Yeah. Right.
And my first sales gig was painting houses. And as much as I knocked doors and left flyers, my most regular lead gen was a lawn sign in my grandmother's front yard. It never got moved. People saw it over and over and over again. Yeah. It was just big enough on just busy enough of a road to get the amount of attention for the phone to continue ringing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so what I hear from that is repetition in message. And what comes to mind is the rule of 7, and people being exposed to the same branding and the same messaging over and over and over in a couple of different ways. In fact, not just the same way, not just the same yard sign, but several yard signs, 2 different company wrapped vehicles, the repeat of the character who's walking around the neighborhood. But also there's an opportunity to leverage, or name drop neighbors, right?
Absolutely. So when we have a strong canvas team, typically what we'll do is when a canvassed appointment turns into a sale, turns into an installation, and we've got a truck parked outside, that same canvasser would be foolish not to go back to that neighborhood and start knocking on some of the neighbors' doors.
Yeah.
Right? Next door neighbors, even our sales reps sometimes do what we call 5, 5, and 10. They'll do 5 doors to the right, 5 doors to the left, 10 across the street, and it's very, very effective.
Very cool. Very cool. And I mean, to me, like, that's something that I talk about in B2B prospecting, right? Like, when you're prospecting, it's not necessarily, a waste of time if they tell you no. You're qualifying, and then pitching. Yeah. But part of your qualification might be they're disqualified, right? But they could introduce me to 3 or 4 people who could buy from me.
Absolutely.
Or know somebody who could buy from me, right? And by continuing to work those networks and work, in your case, the neighborhood, right? They're repeating the message and working their way in almost through social proof, if you will, non-official referrals. You didn't have to ask for it, but because you have that level of familiarity in the conversation, I work with this guy, them, like and trust them. Why wouldn't you like and trust me?
Absolutely. No, that's really how it works. And I guess I should bring up the foundation to all of this. In order, in my opinion, to do and have a very strong outbound team, whether that be canvassing or telemarketing, whatever it is, you've got to have a strong reputation, because people, after they meet you in in a position where they weren't expecting you, you better bet they're going to look you up, especially if they set an appointment with you. So if you have a weak reputation, which traditionally a lot of home improvement companies have had because they've either neglected it or they truly just don't do good work, they're going to cancel that appointment, or they're going to not answer the phone, and the entire plan kind of falls apart. So the foundation of our business is generating, keeping, maintaining a 5-star reputation, because A, it brings in inbound, people will find us that way. B, it makes our outbound efforts a heck of a lot more successful. And then C, buyer's remorse is a lot less of a problem. It almost disappears. Because when somebody purchases from us, they're going to go online, make sure that they made the right choice, and they're just going to see hundreds of positive reviews. It's hard to say no to that.